She had her brows done approximately 6 years ago for the first time, and then a few months ago we did another procedure. Before, she had some kind of carbon black in the skin. It wasn't too much, but it was still visible. And now I think that my procedure, what I was doing for her, not a lot of pigment really stayed in the skin, and she was quite sensitive, and her skin was bleeding a little bit because I think that her skin is a little bit problematic. So now she's here again, and I would like to try it one more time. Because of the carbon black in the skin, we have to use a little bit like a warmer color, but I'm going to use hybrid pigments which contains organic and also inorganic ingredients together. So first things first, we disinfect the eyebrows. Also area around eyebrows, it's really important. Another side. And now we can pluck the brows. Now I'm going to pluck the brows a little bit. I can see my shape beautifully, so I know where to pluck. I really like to use these tweezers because they are very precise, and I always pluck the brows a lot, as you know already. This is how the eyebrow looks like after I clean the brow hair, and this is before. Let's do the other side too. We can beautifully see the shape here again, so it's really easy to pluck it perfectly. Bottom line, top line, and arch line. We can see that my client has a little bit of asymmetry, but it's perfectly normal. Beginning of the eyebrow arch, and now end of the brow. Same here, beginning, arch, and the end of the brow. Now we will take this angle and we move this to the bottom part, moving my client's head, and I just want to copy what she had before. Top line, bottom line, and we just want to copy the shape. We already created a basic shape with the mapping string, and now I'm going to use a pencil and I'm going to make it even better. So basically we really have to stretch properly, and we go over the line we already created with the mapping string. We only need to follow the old shape. Now I'm going to do this on the other side too. Stretching properly. Now you can see my shape. I want to pluck the brows a little bit more over here, and then we are ready to start with tattooing. I really like nice and clean and precise lines, so I always pluck the brows. I am going to use a little bit of concealer. Do not use a lot of pressure when you are working with concealer. you will be more precise if you only touch the skin very softly. I will clean these unnecessary lines with a wooden stick, but I have to make sure I am very soft because of the sensitive skin. As you can see, I barely touch the skin and it's already quite red. So if you see that your client's skin is very sensitive, you can expect that the pigmentation will not be very smooth. I'm gonna use Thunderload Power Needle, 1 round liner 030. And of course my favorite machine, Rocket by Oksana Martynenko. Here you can see that I prepared these two colors. This is medium brown with a little bit cooler undertone, and this one is light and with a warm undertone. I want to use this color because there is some carbon black, but not that much. But I have to use this warm color because I want to make the brows a little bit warmer with a little bit warmer undertone because of the carbon-based pigments what we used before. We can see that carbon black is still in the skin and we need to neutralize it. I am using speed 5.5. As you can see, Veronica's skin is quite thick, so I have to make sure that I stretch it properly towards myself, away from me and to the side. We will start with the outline, back and forth movements. I always start with my outline this way. I do the top part and I do the bottom part because I want to check it like this and I want to make sure my outline is in the skin. And we can beautifully see it, but I have to clean it a little bit more. Now we see that it's beautifully in the skin and we can move on. Bottom part too. Okay. Make sure that you are stretching properly. Your movements are consistent and you are in around 80 to 90 degree angle. We will check, but I think I have to go a little bit deeper. I will go one more time and my strokes will be much closer one to each other. Closer to the front, softer the pressure. Now we are going to check and we can beautifully see it. We will come back to the tail and we will start with the shading. Back and forth movement, pendulum, very soft pressure, especially on the tail, because if you put a lot of pressure on a tail, it's a very, very high possibility that the pigment will be too deep and it will be grayish straight away or after the healing. I want to check how it looks like, and it's beautiful. Look at that. My pressure is very, very soft. And I am using fan movement, which means I constantly change the movement I do. I go from the top and I change my movement, direction of the movement. From the outline, more up, closer to the outline, closer the strokes are together next to each other. Because this place is exactly where we want to have a saturation. If this happens also to you, you are not alone. This happens to me always. I always spill the pigment around the cup. We will clean the brow and we will check how it looks like. From the outline, again, changing the direction of my movement all the time. And when I change the direction of the movement, I also change my body position, because otherwise I don't feel comfortable while doing the pigmentation. Here I see it is a little bit softer, so I go again over here. Remember, very light pressure. Stronger the machine, longer the stroke, more force your machine has. So that means that it punches the needle stronger to the skin. Now I am using a cotton pad because I couldn't fix my fingers properly, and cotton pad always helps me with this. Diagonal movement, more up, and as I go more into the body of the brow, I go more straight. These pigments are quite liquidy, very thin in the consistency. When I work, it makes quite a lot of mess. More water, more isopropyl alcohol, more ethanol or solvents which are very thin, more it makes a mess on the client's face. Here we can see that the skin is starting to bleed a little bit, even though I am extremely soft. This bleeding is because of the problematic skin. I already told you that, and there is nothing you can basically do. We can use secondary anesthetic. It shrinks the blood vessels, so that means that it shouldn't bleed that much, or it shouldn't bleed at all, but it will not be for a long time. If this happens to you and you know that your pressure is right, you know that it's not your problem. This is because of the skin. Because of the skin is problematic, and I already told you this at the beginning, that it can bleed a little bit. Now I'm working on the second pass. Because of the condition of the skin, I want to do it as quick as possible, otherwise it will start to heal. Skin will start to heal itself, and it will be even worse to come back to the same spots. If this happens to you, make sure that you do the pigmentation in as short amount as possible, because otherwise the skin will have a problem with healing. I usually tell my clients that they need more corrections if I see this happens and you really can do nothing about it. I need more pigment over here, and this is also the place where I want to have saturation on a high level. Now I'm going to clean, I'm going to check how it looks like. I will use anesthetic, secondary anesthetic. Mostly I use Feel Better Now, and then we will see what we will do next. I am applying anesthetic. Here you can see that the skin is white. That means that the anesthetic is working already and we can work. Very soft pressure. Longer, airy strokes. We see that anesthetic helped us a lot because the skin does not bleed, but I think it will come back to the same in a few minutes. Anesthetic never works for a long time. Here I want to create soft gradient. So my pressure is even softer. I use diagonal movements and they are quite far away one from each other. We need to work a little bit more over here at the bottom part because I need more saturation. Very, very soft. And we will come back over here. I really love these pixels. They are very, very soft and they look beautiful on my client's skin. Even though the skin is super sensitive, very hard to work with, there is a lot of plasma and blood, we are able to create gradient when we know how to work properly. I am coming back to the same spot, but you can see that the skin is bleeding quite a lot, even though we applied anesthetic. So that means that we really have to stop working very soon. Otherwise, I will create a lot of trauma and pigment will not stay at all. Now we move to the other side and we will start with the outline again. We did a soft outline, very similar to the one on the other side. And now exactly the same steps. We will start with the tail, back and forth movements, stretching very well, consistent movements and 80 to 90 degree angle. Again, make sure that you are not putting a lot of pressure, especially on a tail, otherwise color can be very gray straight away. I just started and I already see some small dots of blood. You know what? I was quite sad when I saw that the These brows are bleeding. But on the other side, I want to show you the reality. I also work on the clients with sensitive skin, with thick skin, with oily skin, and my results are not always 100%. And remember, you can only do what skin allows you to do. So don't be sad if the client has a little bit problematic skin, or if your result is not 100%. Make sure that you understand what is going on and try to always improve your work, but this is something what you cannot change. You cannot change the condition of the skin. We applied anesthetic again. We will wait 2 minutes and then we will continue. I see that the skin is quite tired already and it's bleeding and there is a lot of plasma, so I will leave it. I think it looks really nice and we will see how Veronica's brows will heal. I will keep you updated in the community section 100%. So make sure you will check it in the future. So we finished with the procedure and I would like to talk to you a little bit about what happened. My client had sensitive skin and also problematic skin, and there was a lot of plasma and a lot of blood. If this happens to you, you know that you have to implant the pigment evenly into the skin in a very short period of time, otherwise there is high possibility for a very bad healed result. This blood and plasma also pushes pigment out of the skin, so that means that the retention will not be really nice. If you would like to know more about this topic, I will happily create another video about problems regarding skin. Let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching and I will see you in the next video. Bye!